Hello everybody, welcome to Awesome Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already and drop a like on this video. I am trying to hit 100k subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, so your subscription would be much appreciated. Drop a like because YouTubers ask for it for a reason. Also, two quick self-promo things. My NBA episode 8 is out. If you haven't watched that yet, go do that. And the most recent upload on my main channel about the Clippers is doing okay. But I thought it was a really good video covering what the Clippers are going to look like next season, so please go watch that one if you have not already. Anyways, today's video is my reaction to the Bulls preseason opener versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. I said in the last video on this channel where I covered some preseason games that I was going to be talking about this game because obviously I am a Bulls fan and I like talking about them. Well, actually, that's not an accurate description. I talk about them. I don't necessarily like it. But after all the moves that the Bulls made this offseason, I naturally have been very, very excited to see this team in action. And that excitement has only been elevated by this preseason game because the Bulls looked great in this game, and that was in spite of having some rough edges. So I'll talk a little bit about Cleveland just because it's something to talk about, but I was mostly focusing on the Bulls here. On Cleveland's side of things, I was looking at what Evan Mobley would do, and I picked up a little bit on like Ricky Rubio and Lauri Markkanen, so there's that stuff. But the Bulls, Zach LaVine had a great game, and offense came extremely easy for him. It feels like he was barely even dribbling the ball. Open three-pointers, open fast break opportunities. He got an alley-oop followed by a dunk off of a great, I think it was a Caruso pass, or the Caruso pass might have been for the alley-oop. I don't remember. But Zach LaVine got easy offense and was the best source of scoring in this game. Then you look at the next two scorers for the Bulls, DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic. They didn't score well. They both shot, Vucevic shot 38% and DeRozan shot 36%. And their shots just weren't really dropping. It wasn't a matter of taking bad shots or anything like that, or like being locked down. It's just they were kind of missing open opportunities. Vucevic had 5 3-point attempts and like all of them were open. He had a few mid-range shots, especially one early in the game that was a good look and it just didn't drop. DeRozan had a couple of those mid-range looks that just did not drop. He took a 3-pointer at the end of the second quarter that was an air ball, but it's DeMar DeRozan, so what do you expect? But in spite of that, the Bulls scored 69 points at the half and 131 points overall. I have to say, I barely watched the second half, as that's kind of how it goes for the preseason. Is as interested as I am in who might crack the rotation late with this roster. This is a pretty deep roster, so like even guys like Ayo Dosunmu or Stanley Johnson, I don't really think they're really going to be rotation guys because like Tony Bradley, Derrick Jones Jr., Kobe White, and Patrick Williams are all almost certainly going to be rotation players, and they didn't play today. So there's really Alex Caruso off of the bench, and then that is 4 names of players that are rotation guys, so that's already 9 people deep. After that, like, you're just looking at fringe rotation guys. So for what it's worth, for what I did see of the second half, what's his fucking first name? Alize, is it Alize or Alize Johnson? He rebounded extraordinarily well. He actually got 11 boards in 16 minutes. And another one, the real standout, was the guy who started at power forward. I guess DeRozan started at power forward. But Javonte Green, I really liked what I saw from Javonte Green in the last season after the Bulls got him in the trade where they got Daniel Tice as well. Javonte was phenomenal. In just 17 minutes, he got 13 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, and 4 blocks. He was Lauri Markkanen's primary defender initially, and the Cavs made the mistake that lots of people do with Lauri Markkanen and think, oh, he's 7 feet tall, that means he can score in the post. And Javonte just shut that shit down every time. And he was making a lot of plays in the passing lanes. Overall, the Bulls were making a lot of plays in the passing lanes. Lonzo had 3 steals, Zach had 3 steals, Vucevic had 1, Javonte had 2, Ayo Dosunmu had 2 steals. They had 13 overall, which I don't know what the league average is, but I can tell you at least in the first half, it really felt like they were playing the passing lanes. And the defense wasn't outstanding, but it was good. And the thing is, I've been saying this for a while now, the Bulls improved defensively this offseason. Like, they just added more defensive depth to this team. Lonzo starting at point guard now, Alex Caruso coming off of the bench, Derrick Jones Jr. coming off of the bench. The Bulls' defense overall improved this year. I don't know why people are acting like, and the thing is, the Bulls were solid defensively last year, so many people have been acting like this roster, like what's going to be its downfall is defense, when they were average last year, and then they got better. So I don't understand how that's your downfall if you improved at something you were already okay at. Defensively, now it is the Cleveland Cavaliers, so take that for what it's worth. But defensively, the team looks solid. As for the new guys, like I said, DeMar DeRozan shot poorly, but he did a good job of, like, I feel like the Bulls overall did a good job of, like, not being unselfish to a fault, but also not being selfish. Like, there is a fine line between making the extra pass and then just passing for the sake of passing. That's something that has bothered me. That's something that bothered me quite a bit with some Jim Boylan offenses in the past. Was often like there was passing for passing's sake and there wasn't actually anything being done. There was no off-ball sets that actually created looks and things like that. So they had a good balance of looking for the right pass, but also, you know, taking the isolation shots when you get them. Zach LaVine did take a pull-up mid-range shot on the fast break, which I was like, I don't know about that, buddy. He did make it, but it doesn't mean it was a good shot. Shout out Paul George. Alex Caruso was phenomenal. His playmaking was unbelievable, and he hit a pull-up three. He got blocked on a step back by Evan Mobley. That was like, he created so much space on that step back, and Evan still blocked it, but we'll talk about Evan more in a second. But Alex Caruso had 10 assists in 20 minutes. And defensively, he was good, as you'd expect, because he's one of the better defensive guards in the league. And one thing that I also appreciated about the Bulls overall was they really pushed the pace. Like I said, they were looking for the right passes, and they were getting steals. So there were a lot of fast breaks in this game, and a lot of full court passes or cross court passes, like just looking for fast break opportunities. There were a couple of times where the lane was a little crowded on the break, but overall, I think they did a good enough job in that area. So I'm thrilled with this game. Like, the players that might be fringe rotation, like Javonte Green, Alize Johnson, even Matt Thomas played good. Also, Troy Brown Jr. is probably going to get that last, like, 10 spot in the rotation because he played really well. He shot 3 for 7 from 3 and hit 3 in the first quarter. If he's actually hitting his threes at like a 40% clip, he's absolutely in the rotation because he's a good defensive player, a decent playmaker and athlete. And if he's also hitting his threes, he has a place in rotation. But the point that I'm trying to make here, if I can remember what it was, is kind of everybody played good. Even Matt Thomas played good, even though I barely watched him actually do much. I think he got an and 1-3 at some point. But everybody played good, except for kind of Lonzo. I didn't even talk about Lonzo. Lonzo and DeMar did not shoot particularly well. But outside of that, actually Lonzo, DeMar, and Vucevic did not shoot well. So the Bulls, their three best players after Zach LaVine didn't shoot the ball well, and they scored 130 points. And that was because they pushed the pace, they playmaked well without overdoing it, and Zach LaVine got the easiest offense in the world because there are players on the court that the defense has to respect outside of Zach LaVine. That's been the thing for his entire career, or in Chicago at least, is that outside of the last like 20, and he only played like 10 games with Vucevic last year. So outside of those games, he has not had another 20-point score or anything close to it on his team for his entire career with the Bulls. So unless you want to count Jabari Parker, who averaged like, I think, 17 with the Bulls for like a certain stretch. But other than that, Zach LaVine has been the lone offensive threat other than Kobe White when he's on. So now you have Lonzo, who is not like the biggest threat, but you can't leave him open for 3, that's for damn sure, and he's gotten better with his finishing and mid-range shooting. You have DeMar DeRozan, who's been a 20-point scorer for the last like 8 years, and even though he can't shoot the 3, mid-range shot is deadly, and he's one of the best slashers in the game. Also got to the free throw line a little bit, not much, but you know, he's someone who can get to the line. Vucevic, great scoring post option as well as the jump shot, as one of the best shooting big men in the league, and very often not properly accredited for that. You can't just like focus your defense entirely on Zach LaVine. And while everybody else didn't do that great, I think one of the main reasons why Zach shot 9 for 14 from the field and 4 for 6 from 3 was he had the benefit of so many offensive threats out there with him. And I think the depth on this team is good. Alex Caruso with the double-double in 20 minutes, as I mentioned. Troy Brown played really well. And then when Tony Bradley is the backup big, they didn't have a backup big today. They were running like 5 forwards out there at times. Tony Bradley is a fine big man. Derek Jones Jr. is a good perimeter defender and athlete, even though he can't really shoot. And then Kobe White, I actually think there's a real opportunity for him to actually be good for the Bulls this year, just simply because he's going to be doing more off-ball stuff, and he has always thrived more off-ball than on-ball. So, and Patrick Williams would be in the starting lineup, and he's a phenomenal defender. Like, I'm so excited for this team. Like, I think it's deep. I think it's talented offensively, and Zach LaVine's life is made easy. And if you have someone with Zach LaVine's scoring repertoire, but then he doesn't even have to break a sweat to get to 25 and 24 minutes, that's a scary team. To briefly talk about Cleveland, I was really only primarily focusing on Evan Mobley and Lauri Markkanen, and there was also Ricky Rubio, who I wasn't really looking for, but I picked up on him because he played really well, even though he shot 3 for 10. But hey, it's Ricky Rubio. He did shoot too many three-pointers. I don't know why he was as confident as he was taking threes. But Evan Mobley, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks. I mentioned earlier he got that block on Alex Caruso. I remember the other block, but I don't. Like, I remember it happening, but I can't describe it whatsoever. But defensively, he was good, and there was definitely stretches of the game where the Bulls were a little bit worse for wear offensively, especially early in the game. Their passing and stuff like that was a little bit sloppy, and there were just a couple of opportunities at the rim that didn't really go their way. And I think a lot of that was because Jared Allen and Evan Mobley are a pretty intimidating, like, defensive big pair. Like, Evan Mobley's like nearly 7 feet tall, and he's long, and then Jared Allen is a similar case. There is definitely a lot of defensive potential of those two. But offensively, he started off the game with the travel, and then I think he lost the ball on a switch. But then later he got a spin move where he lost Lonzo Ball, and he just had a couple of more plays where he was like, he did a good enough job, I would say. There was an offensive rebound in there, but he didn't do anything extraordinary. And I mentioned in my rookie prediction video that I think Evan Mobley is probably going to struggle a little bit offensively early in his career, just because there's a little bit, there's a lot of stuff there that can be developed upon, but from what I have seen, I don't know that it's going to be a polished product yet. Defensively, though, Evan Mobley was really good, and I think he will continue to be really good. And he was a good rebounder as well. Got 10 and 8 in 21 minutes. And then looking at Lauri Markkanen, it was just, it's interesting to see him not, as him on my roster, and rather like looking at him from the perspective of another team. Now, while it's easy to be negative, I will say he was fine. He did have the same issue where he really couldn't score on guards on the post. And a matter of fact, it almost feels like a diss that the Bulls put a guard on him for like the entirety of the game. It was like someone 6'5", 6'4" most of the time. It almost felt disrespectful that like they were like, yeah, we know you can't score in the posts, and he really didn't. He had a dunk in the paint off of I think he got set up for that. Hit a 3-pointer, but yeah, just a lot of. I think he got blocked by Javonte Green on a layup. It was just, yeah, some disrespectful shit by the Bulls on that part. He played okay, didn't play great, didn't play bad. It was all right. He did take 7 shots not behind the 3-point line, which when you heard the quotes about him with JB Bickerstaff, it seemed like 3-point shooting was like going to be all he was going to be doing. But I don't know. He played 15 minutes. There was not much to take away from that. And yeah, that is it on that front in terms of Ricky Rubio. He just looked really good out there, and feel like he might be on the buyout market potentially. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking that, but I believe he's on a 1-year contract. And Cleveland is not good, although I think there's like rumblings of the potential of them getting to be like a play-in tier team, and if Rubio is a big part of that, he'll stick around. But I think like maybe 30 games into the season, they're like, we're not going to make it, and Ricky Rubio is a vet, and he probably wants to go somewhere else. And if that's the case, I think Ricky Rubio could be one of the best backup point guards on a good contending team, even though he has the flaw of the fact that he really can't shoot for shit. But defensively, he was good in this one, and playmaking-wise, he was good. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about this game. I'm very excited for the future. I'm probably not going to be doing any kind of post-game recap unless something crazy happens in one of these preseason games. Until then, I'll see you when the regular season starts.